This is the tutorial for Chapter 4, Section 4, Dilations. And so what we're here doing is, first of all, we'll talk a little bit about what a dilation is. And a dilation is a transformation that changes the size, but not the shape of the geometric figure. So it's kind of like when you go to a photocopy machine and you want to enlarge something. You're doing a dilation. You're enlarging it. Or if you reduce it, you're also doing a dilation. You're transforming the size of it, but the shape actually remains the same. So let's take a look at a concept that we'll have to know for dilations, and that's called scale factor. And scale factor describes how much larger or smaller the image a dilation is. And so again, if you are making it bigger, if the scale factor is greater than 1, so a number like 2 or 3, or even it could be a fraction like 1.5, so 3 halves, or 2.5, or even something that is just slightly bigger than 1, even 1.1, those numbers would give us an image that is enlarged. So when the size of the image gets bigger. Now if we have a scale factor that's between 0 and 1, so numbers that are like 1/2 or 0.5, those are numbers that are the same, or 0.25 or 1/3, these are numbers that are going to give us images that are going to be smaller, so it's going to reduce the size, because whenever you take a number that is a fraction, like half or a third, or the decimal equivalent, like 0.25 or 0.3 repeating or 0.5, you end up getting a smaller number, and that's what we get when we multiply. And that's what we're going to end up doing here. So the first set of directions says to sketch the image of the figure under the given dilation. So what they're giving us is xy. This represents the original figure, and so that's this figure here, or the original image. Sometimes they'll call it the pre-image. And then this is considered the new image, or we'll just call it the image itself after it's gone under this dilation. And so what this 3 represents is it represents to multiply the x value by 3. And so this 3 over here tells us to do the same thing but with the y value. So we're going to take the y value and multiply the y. Here it was the x value. Here it's the y value by 3. And that's what we're going to do on this problem here. So first step is to figure out what these points are on the original image, or the pre-image. And the textbook here uses the word pre-image, so I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to call this the pre-image, prior to it being transformed. And so then we're going to also come up with an image, the ordered pairs that represent that. And so I'm going to make a chart, and we'll start with the first point here. I'm going to start in this point and kind of work my way around. So this point is 2 spaces to the left and 0 up. So that's called -2, 0. And then I'll go over to this point, and this point is 0 spaces to the right or left, but 2 spaces up. So that's 0, 2. And the last point is 2 spaces to the right, 0 spaces up. So that's 2, 0. So what we're going to end up doing is, for the image, the new image, we're going to take these numbers and multiply them by 3. So for that first one, it's going to be -2 times 3, and that's going to end up giving me -6. And then I'm going to end up doing 0 times by 3, and that's going to give me 0. And so basically I'm just taking these components of the ordered pair and multiplying by 3, because that's what it tells me to do here. So do the same thing on this one. I would have 0 times by 3, that's going to give me the 0. And then 2, this 2 right here, 2 times 3 gives me the 6. So over on this next one, I take that 2 and I multiply it by 3, so it's telling me to triple that value, that gives me 6. And the last one is 0 times 3, and that gives me 0. That's why I write that. So now I've got the image ordered pairs. Now I can go ahead and plot these points. So -6, 0, so 6 spaces to the left. So it's going to be this point right here. And then I go over up 0, so that's why it's that point. And then over 0, up 6 spaces. So it brings me all the way to the top of the graph. And then 6 to the right and 0 up. So that's going to be this point here. And now we just connect those points with lines. And that'll give me my image. So let's take a look at the next one. It's a little bit different because we have a fraction as the value that we're changing. So notice on this one, this was an enlargement. We enlarged the image. Enlargement. Over here, this is a smaller number. And notice again, it was enlargement because we times by 3. Here, this is going to be a reduction. A reduction. Now I know it's a reduction because we are timesing by a fraction. We're multiplying by a fraction, which makes the numbers smaller. And you'll see that as we do this. So we set it up the same way. We've got our pre-image, and then we're going to end up with our image, our new image that we're coming up with. So let's start by coming up with our ordered pairs. I'm going to start at this point here. It looks like it's 5 to the left and 5 spaces up. So negative 5, comma 5. And then this one is 5 to the right, 5 spaces up. So 5, comma 5. And this one is 5 spaces to the right, 5 spaces down. So 5, negative 5. And the last is 5 spaces to the left, 5 spaces down. So negative 5, negative 5. So once I've got those points, I'm going to take those points and I'm going to multiply it by this scale factor, this number that is going to transform this figure into what we call a dilation. It makes it either bigger or smaller. In this case, smaller, and you'll see why, because when I multiply the number negative 5 by 3/5, those 5's cancel out, leaving me with a negative 1. So I end up with negative 3. The next point is going to be 3/5 of 5. So the 5's cancel out, leaving me with just positive 3. So I do the same thing with these other ones, and as we do that, 3/5 times 5 is going to end up giving me just the 3 times 1. So this is going to be 3, comma 3. And this one, we've done these numbers already, so 3, negative 3. And this one's going to be negative 3, negative 3. So once I've got those points, I'm going to take those values, and I'm going to substitute them onto my graph. So 3 spaces to the left, 1, 2, 3. And then I go 3 spaces up, 1, 2, 3. And I do the same thing with the other ones. Over 3 to the right and up 3. And then over here I go over 3 to the right and down 3 spaces. And then 3 to the left and then down 3 spaces. And notice how it is a reduction in size. It got smaller because we're multiplying by a number that is between 0 and 1. It's a fraction of a number, which makes smaller values when you multiply. So that's our image. The next tutorial will have some problems similar to other ones that we end up seeing on the homework, so check that one out.